TGO, Tom Gruenwald Outdoors, is brought to you in part by HT Premium Ice Tackle, Polar Fire Gear. This is how it's done. Vexilar, ice fishing begins when you turn your Vexilar on. And Tourism Saskatchewan, Canada's best freshwater fishing.
Hello everyone and welcome to Tom Gruenwald Outdoors. I'm Tom Gruenwald and today we're fishing out on Lake Superior. I mean, we're talking big water, big adventure. For me as an ice fisherman, I don't think anything gets me more excited, Aaron, than being able to get out on the Great Lakes. And here we are, it's first ice. We've only got about 3, 4, 5 inches of ice built up in this area, so we're some of the first people on this, which really helps out. It's the diversity of this fishery. I mean, we come out here, we can catch brown trout, we can catch splake, we can catch lake trout, we might catch a walleye, we can catch a bike, we can catch a smallmouth bass, there's whitefish, steelhead. I mean, the opportunities are just so incredible, and to me, it's really exciting. And I'm just kind of curious now, you've been fishing out here for many, many years, and you know, what do you think if somebody wants to come up here and try ice fishing on Lake Superior? What are some tips? What are some things they need to know?
You know, number one is ice safety, especially up here. Conditions are always changing from old ice to new ice, but you want to look at your shallower water, especially with first ice. You know, especially with the trout and the salmon species. You know, looking for your first breaks, you know, going into your secondaries, little flats in between them. Maybe there's a grass bed or a weed bed mixed in there and some gravel mixed on that. Now, we're all good key locations to look at. Another one is stopping at the local bait shops, as always, you know, with anywhere. And, you know, get what's going, you know, which areas are, you know, biting best, and, you know, what the local favorites are for lures and so on and so forth. You know, every area has them.
Yep.
You know.
And I think you're right about the ice safety. You know, the first thing is, I think always travel in pairs and travel with someone. If you've never fished out here before, make sure you're with someone who knows the water. Somebody like Aaron or Lacey, they know areas that traditionally will form ice cracks, or where ice doesn't form well, or where there's dangerous pack ice. You got currents, of course, especially out when you get out to the bigger lake or out in the bay here around the islands, but the same thing can happen around other shoreline features like points or humps and reefs, things like that. So that's very important, but it's those same areas a lot of times that will draw some of these fish.
It's a fact.
So, yeah, so combination, you got to try to figure out where you're going to be safe and where you can still experience some great action. But I'll tell you what, it's the adventure of coming out here on Lake Superior and fishing, and not just the diversity of the fishery, but the size of the fish that you can catch. In all those species that I mentioned too, there's trophy potential.
That's it. You know, you got your averages, and then you've got your larger fish. You know, with any one of the species. You know, you could be like where we're at today. You know, we could be averaging, you know, in that 3 to 6 pound range on the trout, and then all of a sudden you'll get a 10, 12 pounder or better. You know, so you just don't know. You know, from time, you know, one flag goes up to the next, or when you're jigging, you don't know what's going to happen.
And that's the other fun thing about this. It's a great combination fishery, and by that I mean we can come out here and we can set tip-ups and also jig in the same areas. The water's very clear, and the advantage I think of that is you can use the jigging routine, bang, bang, try to get some of the more active fish or draw fish in. They're curious. If they're not aggressive enough to hit the jigs, a lot of times they'll come through and take the tip-ups, and you don't want to set those tip-ups too far away either.
No, you want to get to them and get on them quick, because trout are pretty notorious for hitting them and dropping them. Yeah. You know, especially the browns, you know, if they're feeding well, they'll grab and they'll go, and you'll get a bulk of them. But, you know, especially with like the coho salmon and especially with steelhead as well, you know, they're pickers and droppers. They'll hit them, run them out 6 inches and drop them.
Sure.
So yeah, it's got its days sometimes.
We've got also some of the automatic fisherman units out here, and you've got some homemade hook set tip-ups that we use too. So if you get some of those fish that do hit and are light biting or trying to drop, we can get hooks into them. So we'll show you how those work as well. You know what, I'm excited though. This is big water, big fish, lots of potential. I think we ought to get started.
I think we should.
Let's go and get some tip-ups in and start jigging.
Sounds good, Tom.
All right.
You're watching TGO, Tom Gruenwald Outdoors.
Got one there.
Right there.
Oh, there you go. You got him?
Got him. Ain't that big.
Well, yeah, well, that came up and hit it. There you go. That's a start.
It's a small brown.
Nice. Nice. Let's get that guy back in. Beautiful. All right. Okay, one thing I did want to point out here where Aaron is fishing, this whole area is a lot of pack ice. The ice had kind of broke up, blew back in, and refroze. Most of the area we're fishing in here is a good solid 3.5, 4.5, 5 inches, but there's spots that are a little bit thinner in between. And right here, we're actually on that 3.5 inch. You can tell where Aaron and I are standing, we actually got that ice being pressed down a little bit and the water's coming up from the hole. That's what's causing this slush right here where we are. So it's just, again, it's one of those things you really need to watch when you're out here on a big lake like Lake Superior. Nice fish. Good job, Aaron. It's a start. Hey, let's go get some more. Well, now we're out on the ice. We got a few tip-ups set. I'd like to try jigging, and I think I'm going to start out with this chatter spoon. Lacey, what do you think of that one for size and color?
Yeah, chatter spoons are nice because they'll rattle as you're moving them up and down, and that'll help draw the fish in.
Okay.
It's got a nice color. It's good size because we're trying to get some bigger size browns. And what we'll typically do is if they're a little finickier, we'll take a smaller shiner and we'll tear off its head right here behind the fins.
Okay.
So you just can pinch it.
Yep.
And then you want to put the hook right through its mouth.
Okay.
And then up through the head. And then just let it dangle just like that.
That looks like a good way of doing it. That'll keep it on there nice and secure because you're going through the bone in the head right there. So.
Yep.
And it's a smaller profile now because we don't have that big minnow on there.
And
so.
Some days the heads work better, sometimes the tails work better. So then again with the tail, you'll just tear it off so you got a small piece and hook it on similar to the mouth.
Okay, all right. So experiment a little bit with a whole minnow, and then if they're being finicky or fussy, cold front like this, go with the tail or the head.
Yep.
Okay, terrific. Well, we'll give it a shot, see what happens. Tip-ups are down right now. I've got my rod rigged up. I'm ready to jig, so let's see if we can get some fish. Now, one of the neat things about sonar is not only can you see your depth, can you tell the bottom content, you can see if there's fish present, I can see my lure and how the fish react to it. But if you look at this right here, if you look up high, you'll see that green mark there. That is actually the snap swivel, so you can see it's moving at the same time as my lure is down below. So this unit is sensitive enough that it's actually picking up the swivel. Even better yet, if you look below, you'll see that mark, of course, that's representing my lure is orange with a little green on each side of it. And there's some flashing down below that yet. That's actually the minnow head on my hook. That might not seem like it's very advantageous, but I'll tell you what, a lot of times when you're fishing, it's not unusual to have that minnow head come loose or fall off. And by being able to see it on here, if all of a sudden all I'm seeing is my spoon, I'm not seeing the minnow head, I know it's time to reel up and rebait. And that can be really important when you're fishing in a situation like this. That minnow head falls off and you don't have any taste of bait on there, you may not get any fish coming in. And of course, this is only 5 feet of water right here, so it's not too much of a problem to bring it up and rebait. But if I get down and start fishing that 18, 20, 25 feet of water, it is really nice to be able to know that I've got that minnow head on there at all times. I can fish more confidently. So just another advantage to using today's sonar. There's a fish down there, one right off of the bottom.
Oh yeah, yep. Go get him.
Keep working some of these.
Oh,
got him!
I just felt one.
All right, good deal.
I'll take it easy on him. He's coming up pretty easy. Oh, looks like a salmon.
Yep, get his head turned.
Yep. Oh my, come on. There we go.
Isn't this great?
Oh,
I'm
it is.
telling you, it's so much fun here because you never know what you're gonna catch. You got steelheads, we got brown trout, we got a salmon.
Yep.
I love fishing up here, and you never know. I mean, this fish is what, 22, 23 inches?
Yeah, probably about that.
I mean, every bit of that.
Yeah.
And it might be kind of interesting to point out here to our viewers how to identify this.
You bet.
A lot of people might look at it, see the brown color, and think it's a brown trout.
Yep.
But
your browns are typically going to have the specking through the bellies. This is a later run salmon right here, so it's going to have more color, and that's what's going to throw some people off at times. And when they're cleaner, it'll throw them off and they'll think it's a steelhead at times too. I've seen that. But you look on them and you'll see the gums will be black and the tongue will have some black on it as well. And you look at the tails too a lot of times. There'll be a deeper fork.
Yes.
And that's a real telltale sign. You know, steelhead will have a flat tail with a slight groove in it, and a brown will be almost completely flat.
Awesome.
You know, so, but yeah, that's a nice fish.
That is. He came up and he hit that pink jig with the black.
I'm surprised he came to the hole as fast as he did. That's the neat thing in the shallow water. The big ones just smoke drag, and these little bit shorter fish, you know, it's a different game in this shallow water. You know, some are just screamers, and boy, he's got power. He wants to get away.
They are so muscular and they fight so hard. There's no doubt when you do set the hook on these fish, they don't always slam the bait.
Right.
Sometimes you just feel a little bit of weight.
That's all that one was, just a little bit of weight on there.
When you set the hook, then you feel weight.
And you know you got him.
All right.
Excellent.
There's more fishing action to come right here on TGO.
We were fishing out on the bay. We found a beautiful spot there. We're able to get out on some of that first ice, right off that 5 to 6 foot flat where she drops off down into 15 to 18, right on the break before you get a little plateau to 20, and then of course goes out to maybe 25 and deeper. So we were on a good spot. Aaron caught a smaller brown there. We marked a few fish, but we weren't doing as well as we had hoped. And they set up. They were kind of sitting down and hunkered working in the shack. I kind of moved around a little bit outside and was watching a few tip-ups, but it's really, really difficult in this kind of weather to be able to work those tip-ups. The polar therms keep the holes open okay, but boy, checking the bait, touching that wet line with wet hands when it's 35 below wind chill is pretty miserable. And since we weren't seeing that many fish out there, we decided to come in here and fish the river mouth. It's a little more confined area. All of us, because we want to try to stay warm, we're just going to try a jigging approach right here inside the shanty. And they're going to start out, both Aaron and Lacey are going to use some smaller jigs and some wax worms. I'm going to start with the spoon that I was using and see if that does any good, but this a lot of times is a bug bite. So if they start seeing some action, I'm not catching anything or getting anything chasing on that spoon, I'm going to switch over and do a little finesse fishing too. So we're going to give this here a shot, see what happens. Fairly shallow. We're only in about 6 feet of water here. So boy, I'll tell you what, if we start hooking in some steelhead, browns, salmon, whatever it might be, we're going to have our hands full. We're just going to keep going here. So let's get started.
Well, let's do it.
All right. Just keep working that bait there right off of the bottom. There's a fish down there. There we go. Hey.
All right.
Got him.
All right, Tom. Oh, geez, he come up quick. Come on, little bugger. There you are.
They come up fast when you're only in 6 feet of water.
Good hold on to this, boy. They get nuts.
They're strong. Oh, he came up and he hit that Marmuska tungsten jig. And he smacked it hard. Wow. Yeah, it's a steelhead. How big can these fish get in here?
These can get up to 10 pounds, sometimes a little better than that. You know, 30, a little over 30 inches. You can get up 32, 33 at times, but that's on the high end. A lot of them are in that 24 to about 20, 26 range.
Nice. Yep, let this one go. Just let it relax a little in the water here. There we go. Hey, that's one.
Good job, Tom. Excellent. Here's a towel, dry up a little bit.
All right.
Get the next one.
Yeah, bait that thing back up again. Yeah, they like that little that smaller jig. That did the job.
Yep.
And you switched up. You put a plastic on there too, like a mayfly representative.
Yeah, and there's days that it really does work well. You know, put a little pink in there just to draw the attention. Trout and steelhead especially like, you know, pinks, purples, oranges. You know, so it just kind of contrasts the body and the color a little bit to kind of pick up. The water's got a little color in it here, so it can help.
I think that's the key word too. Contrast is big. If you get a little brighter color combined with the dark, you never know. I mean, maybe they're attracted to the dark, maybe they see the flash of the pink and then they see the natural color of the black. But I think that contrast really does have a lot to do with successful trout fishing.
Just we're imitating a small helmagrite or a mayfly larvae, and that's all you're doing. And then just tipping it with one waxy on there, the pink head for a little contrasting color, and just keeping it along that bottom, trying to make it look as natural as we possibly can. You know, and sometimes in here it's a good spoon bite tipped with a shiner head or some waxies. Other days they want something real small, real soft and subtle. You know, every day is a different day. From the morning to evening it can change. You know, it's all in the mood or the temperament of these fish. You know, so don't get hung up on just using, you know, your smaller, you know, pimple style stuff, or spoons and jig and wraps or anything like that. And they all work, and they've all got their situations, no doubt about it. But, you know, always think about matching the hatch kind of a little bit too. You know, try to match what the fish are foraging on naturally. And a lot of days that can really make or break you out here on the Great Lakes. And that's for any of the Great Lakes. It's all the same game.
You know, they're a lot more likely, if you get out in the deeper water, probably to be chasing bait fish.
Yes.
So it would seem the flashy spoons also are going to attract fish from a long, bigger, ways out. When you get into a more confined environment like what we're dealing with here, we get in this river mouth, and the fish, of course, are on the bug bite. You can go with the smaller things, but I think it's interesting. There's probably a lot of people that wouldn't even think about trying to use a smaller jig like this.
You know, and it's amazing through the last couple of years, the companies that are coming out with this. Years ago, this wasn't even an option, this type of a setup here. And I don't even remember where I picked these up at. You know, they're just a guy probably sitting in his shop thinking, you know, I'm going to try to match the hatch somewhat and run with it, you know. And it works. You know, they got different colors, but again, I try to keep with something that's more natural. The browns, the blacks, you know. And I keep a couple different boxes in my bag when I'm out, because this type of stuff, like you said, Tom, we don't use when we're out in deeper water, because it just don't work.
And of course, you're out in the deeper water too. That I've noticed that's quite a bit clearer.
Yes.
When you get up in the river mouth and the river here, this water is a little dark. There's a little bit of current.
Yep.
And there's more, seems to be anyway, a little more color to the water and a little more stain.
Yep.
And I think again, the contrast or that dark black is a little easier for the fish to find too.
You bet. You bet.
More fishing action online at tgofishing.com.
Got him?
Got him.
Cool. He hit that auto fisherman.
He did.
Oh, how is it? Does it feel?
It feels not bad. It's a heavy fish.
Good. Nice and easy. Nice and easy.
It is
We
a heavy
set that
fish.
right outside the shack here.
Yep.
Oh, it's beautiful. Nice. Oh,
Little
yeah.
ice on that line.
Just take her easy. Take it easy.
Drag's set good, so we're all right there. It's a better fish.
I haven't seen that one. I haven't seen the head yet.
No.
Come on, fish.
Get that chunk of ice off there.
I don't know too much.
Yeah, he's throbbing. It's a steelhead, I'm thinking. I'd almost guarantee it. Oh yeah, beautiful
Is it a big
fish.
steel? Oh.
No, not beautiful brown.
Yeah, you take them yourself? Oh, is that nice?
No, that's a
Look at that.
beautiful
Let's get a brown trout. That is really fun. You know, we're jigging inside the shack, and of course we're using the small micro baits in there. And out here we thought, you know what? We should really set a couple of the auto fisherman type units here with a minnow on it, just in case a little bigger fish comes through. Boy, did that work like a charm. That is a nice brown. Look at that.
Beautiful color.
Pretty. All right, let's check and see what this one actually measures, Aaron, should we?
That's a nice chunky fish right there.
Yep. Beautiful. We're on 22 inches with that fish. That's beautiful.
That's a beautiful fish.
Just gonna be really, really careful with the drag. Boy, trying to get his head turned's not easy, Aaron.
Not easy in this shallow water.
There he is.
Oh, it's a brown.
Yeah.
Look at the size of that brown.
Yeah. You know, we just took that Mermuska tungsten diamond, and he gave me a little, it looks like a little freshwater shrimp plastic, just for a little contrast. And I stuck 2 waxworms on it with it, and he inhaled that. That's the first time, Aaron, I've had one that just ate it. Look at that.
Look at that.
Well, let's just show that plastic.
That is a beautiful brown.
Yeah, and there's that tungsten. It's a little heavier, gets down in the little bit of current that we have here. And there's that little sparkle up on the front. And we
Yeah, you
added
can
that.
see it just right there.
Yep, that just adds a little bit, and then that plastic. And look at that fish. That's nice. How long do you think that guy is?
I'll bet you that's 26.
That's a pretty good fish. Yep, now I'm shaking there. Now I'm shaking.
25.
There you go. All right, Aaron, we're gonna let this puppy go here. She's
ready.
She's ready to go. Here we go, girl.
Beautiful fish, Tom.
What I like to do is just like when you release a bigger fish in the summertime here, just let them get a little bit of oxygen here and some air. We did it.
Nice job.
That was fun.
Nice job.
Hey, this has been a great day out on the ice. Here we are, Lake Superior, big water. I like to call it Gitchee Gumee Bliss. I think Gitchee Gumee is Chippewa or Native American language for big water, if I'm not mistaken. This is big water, this is big adventure. It's lots of fun. Cold front kind of turned things down a little bit. It was a tough bite. We had to make some moves and we had to kind of finesse down a little bit. But we were still able to catch fish, and I think that's what impresses me, Aaron, most about the water here. There's just such a diverse fishery. You come out here, we can catch brown trout, we can catch slake, we can catch lake trout, we can catch steelhead. And if we want to, we go back to the bay, there's pike, perch, walleyes. Yeah, you can find just about anything out here, but I do think we need to make sure, emphasize, find someone like Aaron Castern and Lacey here from Unlimited Trophy Outfitters so that you can ensure you're going to have a safe and productive trip. So with that, Aaron, thank you. Lacey, thanks for coming along for the ride, and thank you for coming along. And no matter where we end up next time, you know we're going to be somewhere out on the ice filming another episode, and I hope you'll be right there to join us right here on Tom Gruenwald Outdoors.
TGO has been brought to you in part by HT Premium Ice Tackle, Polar Fire Gear. This is how it's done. Vexilar. Ice fishing begins when you turn your Vexilar on. And Tourism Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan, Canada's best freshwater fishing. TGO, where it's all ice fishing all the time.